It's Shadrow's Q&A Spectacular, oh my god!
Hello everyone. As you can probably see in the title, this is the Q&A video. I have no idea if I'm going to be doing more than one of these, so I'm just going to say that this is the Q&A video, and we can retcon that later if necessary. So I've been putting this off for too long for a number of different reasons, so let's just start. We're going to start off with a couple of frequently asked questions. I'm listing these separately because they get asked by so many people that they can't really be attributed to select individuals, so it's probably a little bit more important in general information since so many people ask these questions. So we'll just get these done out of the way first, and then we'll get to your individual ones after that. So one of the most frequently asked questions that I receive is,
can I collab with you on one of your songs?
When it comes to my own stuff, I'm not really that open to collabs. I tend to write my music within my own capabilities, so I don't really need to pull on anyone else for any kind of external work outside of artwork. And I'm comfortable with that. I like doing stuff by myself for my own music. I like presenting it as this is my thing. I don't want to have to really share that with anyone. That's not to say that I'm never going to do it. I'm just saying I'm much more comfortable working on a song by myself than I am having someone else come onto the project with me. Now, when it comes to collabs with other people, that's slightly different. There's a whole multitude of factors that goes into whether I'm comfortable collabing with someone on their song, and it can be any reason from whether or not I enjoy the song that they're making to whether I'm even comfortable wanting to do anything for that week entirely. Basically, I just kind of want to do what I want to do, and that's really it. One of the other more frequently asked questions is,
can I use your music in my own stuff?
Basically, all of my music is released under the Creative Commons license. I forget the specific wording for it. I'll put it up on the screen now so that you can look at all the big legal words or whatever. Basically, as long as you give me proper credit for creating the song and don't make unpermissed money off of it, you can do whatever you want with it without having to ask me for permission. To give proper credit, you basically have to tell people what the name of the song is and who created it. So if it's like a speed paint or something, you just put, along with whatever other songs you got playing, you put name of song by Shadrow. If you've got like a music video, then it would be really nice if you put the name of the song and Shadrow in the title somewhere, just so people find it even easier. When it comes to the monetization part, that basically means you have to come to me to ask if you can monetize it before you do anything. Odds are, if you're making like an animation or a remix or something like that, I will probably be fine with you making money off of it, but I would still like you to ask me for permission beforehand anyway, just so I can check it out first. It's basically just to keep people from uploading the song in its entirety with no changes to it whatsoever and just making money off of it. I know that's not going to stop people from asking me for permission to use my stuff, but if it can thin it out a little bit, it'll help. And the last frequently asked question is,
can you make a song about blank?
This one kind of goes hand in hand with can I collab with you on something, in that I basically just want to do what I want to do. Like, I know a lot of people have been asking me if I'm going to make a still location song. I don't know! I don't even know if I'm going to make something until it's been made and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I made that. I did have one more frequently asked question, which was, how do you make your music? But that's going to have a very long, complex answer to it, so I don't really think that's going to fit in very well with this kind of video. I might make a video in the future that goes more in-depth onto how I create my stuff, but I wouldn't count on it. Now that we got that out of the way, let's answer some of your questions.
Since you're a musical artist, or whatever you're called, who is your favorite musical artist?
It kind of fluctuates a bit. I don't really have one specific musician that I like to listen to. Like, my favorite will be one thing one month, and then the next month suddenly it's a different thing, and then it might go back to that first thing, or it might be an entirely different thing later. At the time of the recording of this video, my favorite musician would have to be Neil Cicierega, otherwise known as Lemon Demon. A lot of his stuff is both catchy and about geeky things, so I tend to relate to it very easily.
Who are all the people you work with? And or do you have anyone that works on the songs with you?
As far as I'm aware, all the music that is currently on my channel is all me. There's like one or two bits of guitar work that a friend of mine did on one of my albums, but otherwise it's all me. That includes the writing, any kind of performance, like whether guitars or vocals that are needed, the production work, like mixing and making it sound nice and everything like that. Basically all of that is me. I'm a solo musician on that front. When it comes to video work, that is also entirely me, so all of the editing and like the waveform stuff that goes on, that's all me. The only thing that isn't me is the artwork. I have a handful of friends who are artists, so I commission them whenever I need artwork for one of my songs. But other than that, it's all me. Shadrow is a one-man individual and not a multiple-man individual.
Do you have a least favorite song genre to listen to or work with?
I like that this question is phrased least favorite and not genre you hate the most. Like, there are a handful that I'm not particularly fond of, but that doesn't mean I hate them necessarily. I'd say the main ones that I'm not particularly fond of would be jazz, classical music, and country music. There are a number of songs in all of those genres that I'm like, yeah, that's my jam. But generally, I'm not particularly fond of those genres as a whole. I'm also not super into like standard electronic music, like the stuff that's sort of the same thing over and over again for like 4 minutes or whatever. But at the same time, I like Daft Punk, so what the fuck?
What YouTube channel would you most want to make a cameo on?
I think the main YouTube channel that I would want to cameo on would probably be Game Grumps. It would just be neat to be able to sit down and play video games with them for like an hour or two. Seeing as I don't live in America, it's not going to happen anytime soon. A runner-up would be the Co-optional Podcast, because it would be neat to be able to talk to them about different topics for the odd 2 hours or so, just to see what antics happen. I know that both of those are way out of my league in regards to realistic attainability, but the question didn't specify that it had to be realistic, so you can just leave.
You love anime?
See, to me, that question is basically like asking, do you like movies? Or do you like television shows? Like, sure. It depends on what anime it is, though. Like, I don't watch whatever new hot anime comes out, I watch what seems interesting to me. A large percentage of anime I'm not super duper into just because of the oversaturation of some of the tropes that they use. Like, some of it has just gotten so overdone and boring at this point. But sometimes a cool one comes along and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that one, because it's cool. I know one that I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would was Lucky Star, so there you go.
Do you plan on making an album similar to Toilet Mug?
Sort of yes and no. Basically, I got tired of holding on to songs after I was done with them because I just wanted to show people them immediately. So basically, the next album's gonna be whatever number of songs I release after Toilet Mug compiled into a collection. So that would include like Dr. Gaster and Never Be Alone and all that sort of stuff. Means that there won't be any surprises, like it'll just be, hey, here's an album with all the music you've already heard. But I just hate holding on to songs. Whenever I finish one, I'm like, I've got to show it to people, I've got to put it on the internet!
Are you Australian?
Yep.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Nope.
What kinds of video games do you enjoy?
I used to be super duper into RPGs, and I still kind of am. It's just the time that you need to put into them that's sort of become a bit of a buzzkill. Like, one of my favorite games is Persona 4, but that game takes like 100+ hours to beat. Other than that, I kind of just like games where you can mess around. Like, I love the Skate series because it encourages you to just mess yourself up. I'm also not really much of a competitive multiplayer kind of person. Like, if I play multiplayer, I usually play it only with my little group of friends, and usually we're just messing about in it. Like, if we're playing GTA 5, we'll just run around for a couple hours and then get bored and stop. I don't usually play games like League of Legends or Overwatch or anything like that. At least not by myself, because I just don't really have a lot of fun with it. Now I'm wearing a different t-shirt because I ran out of time yesterday.
Who is your favorite Undertale character?
I don't know, questions about my favorite things always feel difficult to answer because my favorite things change a lot of the time. If I really had to pick, I would probably go with either Temmie or the annoying dog, just because they're both adorable.
Why did you decide to pursue music as something to do for yourself? And is the abundance of things in Australia that can kill a myth or truth?
It never really felt like I started pursuing it so much as it just sort of became a thing that I did. It's kind of a cop-out answer, but I guess I'd say that I pursue music because I enjoy making music, and arguably I'm competent at it. As for your second question, it kind of depends on where you are. I mean, I live in a suburban area, so the more dangerous stuff isn't really encountered that frequently. The worst that I can really encounter where I live is spiders. That's not to say that there aren't dangerous creatures here, it's just they're not really where I live, so I don't really encounter them.
Do you like to read, and if so, any genre in specific?
I'm not really that much of a book person. Like, I'm not against reading at all, I just don't really dedicate time to it. It's not really a genre so much as like an entire different classification of book, but my favorite genre of books would be like graphic novels and comic books and stuff like that. Again, kind of a cop-out answer, but it's the best I got.
Do you have any regrets about choosing to do music? If so, what are they?
I wouldn't say I have any regrets necessarily. I guess the closest thing would be that there's less job security available. Like if I chose to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, then the chances of me having a well-paying job would be much higher. Whereas choosing to follow music is just sort of make music and hope people like it. I mean, I'm doing a lot better with this music stuff on my YouTube channel than I ever thought I would, so I'm definitely not regretting it right now.
How long have you been making music and how did you start?
The earliest time that I can think of where I was like fiddling about with music stuff was back in high school. Some friends and I found this program called MIDI Maker, which basically lets you create like the most basic form of MIDI music possible. So I spent a good year or so recreating songs from the Sonic series using the MIDI Maker program. So if by some chance you've been looking through Sonic MIDIs lately and you've noticed my name given as credit next to them, that's because I'm the guy that made them. And that was back before I knew anything about like keys or scales or anything for music at all. I just did it all by ear. And then like a year or two after that, I started learning how to play guitar. That's the earliest time that I can think of where I was creating music myself instead of just listening to it.
Any ideas for new fan songs?
I partially answered this question before in that I don't tend to have a lot of ideas hanging around. I sort of just have one pop up and then I work on that over like a week or so and then just release it. Conveniently enough, I am actually working on another Undertale fan song right now. And I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek. It's gonna play right now. There you go, wasn't that great?
Out of the songs you've created, which is your favorite and why?
Again, it's another favorite question, so it's not exactly gonna be consistent. I guess at this current moment, my favorite song that I've made is probably Spider-Girl, and I also still really like the Pink Lemonade album that I made as well. If you haven't listened to the Pink Lemonade album, then you should do that, because it's good.
How old are you? And thanks.
At the time of this recording, I am 22 years old. I was born May 17th, 1994.
What's your opinion of collabs and which ones were your favorites to do?
I sort of already answered the first half of this question during the frequently asked questions part of the video, so we won't worry about that. At this current point, I think my favorite collab is still probably the Flip Side with Griffinilla, just because I got to have a little bit more hands-on time with that one. Like, I still enjoyed the other collabs that I did, it's just the Flip Side was one that I actually got to produce, so I made it sound the way that it did.
Why don't you have more subs?
I know this was kind of a rhetorical question, but I thought I'd address it anyway. Basically, I don't have like a marketing team or a PR team or anything like that. I just make my stuff and put it up on the channel and then cross my fingers and hope that people like it enough to share it with each other. So basically, you guys are the reason this channel has even made it this far, and I hope to go even further with it.
It's a bit random question, but how tall are you?
Last time I checked, which wasn't that long ago, I was 1 centimeter short of being 6 feet exactly.
Will you do more Lemon Demon covers? And what made you choose the name Shadrow?
For the first question, I am open to the idea of doing more Lemon Demon covers, I just don't want to oversaturate the channel with them. Long story short, when I was like 9 or 10, whenever Sonic Adventure 2 Battle came out, my brother and I came up with a couple of different fan characters, if you want to call them that, of Sonic the Hedgehog, and one of them was named Shadrow. Very imaginative name, I know. So I just started using that as my online persona name thing back when I was like 10 or whatever. That character has long stopped being a thing that I give a shit about anymore though, so Shadrow is basically just my name for the internet now.
What's your favorite Pringles flavor?
I don't remember exactly what flavors there are available for Pringles exactly, so I'll just go with chips in general. I'm kind of boring with chip flavors. The only ones that I really care about are plain, chicken, salt and vinegar, and barbecue. I'm sure there's the occasional other flavor that will come along and I'll be like, oh, that one's not that bad, but generally I'm pretty boring when it comes to chip flavors.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, thanks for asking. So that's all the questions that I'm gonna answer for this video. Again, I don't know if I'm ever gonna do another Q&A video. If I do, it's not gonna be for quite a while. So yeah, thank you for your questions and have a good